Okay, we're recording and we're on YouTube. Let me check one more time for Arthur. I don't see him. Lee, do you see us? Can you hear us? Good, there you are. All right, we'll move forward. We'll get to Arthur when he comes on. Let's see. We'll open the meeting at 7:05. Catherine, can you do roll call, please?
Absolutely. Colby Jensen.
I'm here.
Catherine Hatton is here. Arthur Wipschlock. Not here yet. Robin Allen.
I'm here. I'm here.
Thank you. Ren Blight.
Here.
Fred Iberry.
Here.
Matt Kamen.
Here.
Lee Jameson. Lee, you'll have to unmute.
Raise your hand.
Or star, I don't, let me say.
Go ahead and hit record, just so you know this meeting will be.
Lee.
All right, now you're almost. Okay, now I need to unmute.
Lee, you're unmuted.
Oh, Roger, I'm on.
Great, thank you. Susanna.
Yes, I'm here.
You, Tess Taylor.
Here?
Kevin Dees.
Here.
Sean Basharati.
Here.
Jake Tiddick. I do not see.
Don't see him.
All right.
Okay.
Roll call done.
Thank you, Catherine. Well, welcome everybody. We have another busy meeting, and just like to remind everyone to please, keep it concise and share your thoughts, but keep everything concise and short. I bumped into a stakeholder today at Coffee Bean, and we started talking briefly about neighborhood council meetings, and he said, "Oh my gosh, your meetings run 4 hours." I said, "No, they actually run 5 hours." And he rolled his eyes and walked away. I think it's just difficult for people to really to get involved. But again, we have a lot of business to cover, so I'll keep it short. I'll set my own example. So let's move forward to open public forum.
I want to jump in real quick. I believe Arthur just joined at 7:07.
Great, sure, unless you brought him on already. Are you?
He is. I promoted him to panelist, so he should be able to unmute.
Thanks so much. Hi, Arthur. So do open public forum. I see a hand raised. Jonathan. Let me bring you on. Oops, sorry, I pushed the wrong button. Where are you again? Oh, lost you. Jonathan, please raise your hand again. I pushed the wrong button. Oh,
you got it.
There you are.
Can you hear me now? You're okay?
Yes, go ahead.
Okay, thank you. Are you not going to vote on the minutes? I didn't hear what was said before you started.
Oh, I'm sorry. You're right. I skipped ahead. I apologize.
Okay, I have something to say on the minutes, and then if you like, you can come back to the, however you want to do it, just tell me.
Okay. All right. Motion A, approve the GTLNC April 19th, 2022 General Board minutes as amended. Do I have a first?
First, Tess.
Tess, thank you, Tess. And a second on this.
I'll do it, Matt.
And Matt. All right. Discussion on the matter? Hi, Ren.
Page 13, down at the bottom, motion K. I believe we amended that to include no queuing on Cahuenga, signs for no queuing on Cahuenga. And that doesn't show in the minutes. I think that should be in the minutes.
Okay, we'll amend that. Catherine, can you make a note of that?
Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you. It's amended. Any other board members or stakeholders?
Public comment? Yeah, not comment, but.
Let me go with the board members. I don't see any.
No. Okay.
Okay, Jonathan.
Okay, on minutes. When I read the minutes, tell me if I'm wrong. The minutes do not, or again, maybe in my vision, are they stating the outcome of a vote on a motion? For every single motion there, I'm looking for a statement how the vote, not just, you have to sit and add up the votes. It doesn't say in plain English, or does it? Maybe it's my vision. I kept looking, but I couldn't find it.
So if you look to the right, there's a right-hand column that says vote next to each motion.
Oh, okay. So it's there.
Yes, and
Okay.
the order is yes, no,
Got it.
abstention.
Thank you.
Sherry Herman. Hi, Sherry.
Hello. I don't know if I'm talking at the right time or not. I'm the co-chair of the North Hollywood CPAB.
This
And
is only about we're only doing public comment about the minutes from last month's meeting.
oh, okay. I'll wait till you get to National Night Out then.
Thank you. You're gonna lower your hand for now. Okay, you did it. Any other comments on the minutes from last month's meeting?
Tess has her hand up.
I see Tess.
Yeah, just two comments. Thank you for the detail, which I always appreciate. And on page 14, under toward the end, there's a comment that I made. Tess Taylor supports Wren's thoughts about building walls this high, states that we should not approve this wall variance, not she.
Okay. Please make a note of that, Catherine, if you can. Put that in the amended version. Sherry, I see your hand up. Please just lower your hand until if you don't mind, until we're done, unless this is about this exact motion. I don't see any other hands up. So we'll move forward to a vote. Catherine, can we do a vote here?
Absolutely.
Thank you.
So we're going to be voting on motion A, approve the GTLNC April 19th, 2022 general board minutes as amended. How do you vote? Well, I guess I'll start out. I am abstaining as I was not present for the entire meeting. Arthur.
Yes.
Robin.
Yes.
Wren.
Yes.
Fred.
Yes.
Matt.
Yes.
Lee. You'll need to unmute. We'll come back to Lee. Susanna.
Yes.
Tess.
Yes.
Kevin.
Yes.
Sean.
Yes.
And Colby.
Yes.
And I'll try Lee one more time. I'm going to mark Lee excused. So that is minutes passed by a vote of 10-0-1.
Thank you, Catherine. Now we move on to public comments. Here, please raise your hand. Hi, Jonathan.
Thank you. I'll try to be very quick on this to appreciate other people here. This is coming up almost every single month, and it has to do with the procedure for an open forum for allowing stakeholders to speak. I would like to say that the arguments I've heard from board members are only twofold. One is of fairness, that stakeholders should be restricted in their amount of time and only speak once on a subject. The other argument I've heard seems to emanate out of simple displeasure with hearing what's being spoken. What I would like to say is there is no issue of fairness when there's a meeting and there's only one stakeholder present. It's an absurdity. It doesn't help the neighborhood council to be focused on banalities and procedural issues that really don't have a favorable outcome. There is simply no issue. I hear no stakeholder overly abusing the privilege, the right to speak at these meetings. I highly recommend you, as they say in America, gel out over the issue and lighten up with the procedure. I'm not saying don't enforce it and not have a reasonable, I want to make real clear, it's not a rule, it's not a law. Every board member has a right to engage a stakeholder if they believe they need to have more information or understand valuable information that will benefit the community. It's a board member's duty to collect up that information. It's common sense and it's for the benefit of the community. The protocol is not to engage dialogue because the secretary is charged with trying to record and understand what's being said. So it requires discretion. Thank you very much.
Thanks, John. Lewis? Let me push the right button here. Hi, Lewis. Welcome.
Hi there, guys. My name is Louis Scalacci. I am a resident in the western end of Toluca Lake on Riverside Drive, and I just kind of wanted to introduce myself and say hello. I just recently applied for one of the open board positions that are now that were on the website. I've served on several boards and neighborhood councils for work throughout my career, but this would be the first one for my actual home, and very excited to get to know you guys and the council and get more involved here. So that's all I really wanted to say. We just want to say hello and appreciate your consideration for that open seat.
Great, thanks, Lewis, and thanks for applying. We have a good amount of interest this time, and I'm glad you're in the cards. And we'll be hearing back from you, or we'll be calling out to you pretty soon about the next steps. Thank you.
How many applicants do we have, Colby?
We have three.
Three?
And then I think we'll have about 2 or 3 more.
Okay. At some point, it would be nice to know their names.
Yeah, we're gonna. Well, the June 1st is the cutoff date, so we're just gonna announce them probably after that. Moving along, any other public comments at this time?
Can I just take advantage of this moment can we just make an announcement to say that we do have 2 open board seats, and you can go to GTLNC. You can go to GTLNC.org and click the big button on the homepage to fill out a simple Google form. It's just a handful of questions. If you are interested in becoming a board member of the GTLNC.
Can we know their names now?
Tess, I don't think it would be appropriate until we have a full list of applicants.
Well, we just had one announce himself, so I don't see why not.
They are welcome to announce
Public comment.
themselves.
Move on.
All right.
Thank you.
Public comment.
We're going to go forward. But I do want to say, yeah, thanks for reminding me, Catherine, that we actually have a lot of interest, much more than we have in the past. So it's very exciting. Moving along to city and neighborhood news and announcements. Let me see who's here. If you don't mind raising your hand, that helps me also in the here. Hi, Steve. Okay, great. Welcome, Steve. Yeah, we emailed earlier today.
Perfect. Hello. Hello, everybody. Just to introduce myself and thank you, Colby. My name is Steve Ferguson. I am Assemblymember Nazarian's new district director and proud to be working with Toluca Lake. I personally live adjacent to Toluca Lake. I'm on the other side of Clybourne on Sarah. So it is a privilege to say hello and to be working in this community with all of you. Wanted to just provide a very brief update. I know that there's been a lot of concern about the encampments west of Lancashire along the freeway. So we have been able, the assembly member was able to connect with the district director of Caltrans, and we have been able to secure a date for a cleanup for that site. So May 31st will be a cleanup and moving of the initial Riverside Drive area, and then alongside the park will be on June 3rd. So those are 2 cleanups that we will be tracking closely. But if there are any other issues, again, I am happy to share my contact information. Feel free to reach out, and we are happy to escalate those issues with Caltrans as we receive them. That's my brief, quick report for now. And again, just appreciate the time and always here for questions if you need me.
Thanks, Steve. Any questions for Steve from the board?
Just appreciation that he's overseeing those cleanups. They can't happen soon enough for us, and we do appreciate it very much. Steve, if I can be helpful in any way, please let me know. Thank you.
Much appreciated, and I will update the council as soon as we receive clearance on and an update from Caltrans.
Excellent.
Thanks, Steve. Moving on to Erica from Dunn. Erica, where are you? You keep moving around. There you are.
Thank you.
Good evening, Erica.
Everyone. Hello. So I do have a handful of announcements for you tonight. I'll start by saying that in addition to the trainings that city clerk holds for funding practices, our department will also be holding 2 workshops this month. One will be held on Tuesday, May 31st. And this workshop is going to be focused on the Brown Act. So if there's any questions, concerns, or even refreshers that you would like to get insight on for the Brown Act, I would strongly recommend that you attend that. The second workshop is also going to be, let's see, I see here, Thursday, May 26th. And this is going to be about Robert's Rules Made Simple. So again, if you're available, please attend that workshop. And then also, let's see here. I've reached out to a couple of board members because I'm interested in presenting about 2019 and the 2021 election results, as well as the awareness and engagement survey that our department has issued. And going over those 2 topics, I'd like to garner a discussion on how to better conduct outreach efforts. So I would love to either present at either the next outreach committee meeting or possibly the next board meeting. So I just wanted to put that on your radar. And then
Erica, so our outreach chair is actually one of the 2 people that are no longer on the board. So Matt and I are taking over as interim co-chairs of outreach. So if you could please shoot me an email. Sorry, this is Catherine. Hi. If you could shoot me an email and Matt and I can figure out how to connect with you and perhaps get you to our June outreach meeting, if that is something you are interested in.
Thank you, Catherine. And then just to wrap up here, my last announcement is in regards to the Zoom license. I don't recall if Greater Toluca Lake has already taken action, but in case you all haven't, our department has pushed out communication since March and saying that the Zoom license expense will now be transferred over to neighborhood councils. That's $200 per Zoom license. We did have a deadline as of May 1st in hopes that NCs would allocate funds for this expense. Many NCs have not, so we were able to work with the Zoom Corporation to get an extension on our contract, but we're still asking for NCs to allocate funds. So I also wanted to throw that out there, and I am happy to take any questions. Thank you.
And we'll have to put that to a vote, obviously, right, Erica? Just like any other expense?
Correct, yes.
Okay, we'll put that on the agenda for next month.
I have a quick question. Was that $200 per license?
Yes. And that's for the
Yes.
year. I'm assuming that's for the year, not per month, I hope.
Yes, that is an annual expense, and we are leaving it up to the NCs to decide how many licenses they would like. As you know, right now, the department purchases 1 Zoom license per NC, but for example, some of my other NCs are interested in having a Zoom license per committee or are thinking just like to have 2 in general, so yes.
Yeah, we've gotten by on 1, all this time, so I think we'll save some money,
And
but we'll talk about it later, but one seems to work for us. Yes, Tess?
so, hi, Erica, thank you for the update. So up until now, the department has paid for it, and now it's the same cost, except that we, the individual neighborhood councils, are paying for it. Is that correct?
Correct.
Okay.
Any
you.
word on their budget for this upcoming year? Will be the same, or has it been reduced? Hopefully not. Maybe you don't know.
I have not heard of any changes to the NC's budget.
Okay. Any
Well,
changes?
they asked for a lot more, so I'd be interested to see what they get. Thank you.
Any questions? Anyone more questions from the board? Any questions from stakeholders for Erica real quick?
Sorry, I did have one quick question. Do we know where we stand on our bylaws amendments and whether or not they've been fully approved?
Thank you again, Catherine. Yes, so I was just given the green light today that as a follow-up to Tom's email to you and Tess of making that 1 word change, as soon as that's done, we are good to go. So we'll move forward with making that change, and you should be getting an email from me tomorrow.
Thank you.
Officially approved. Excellent.
I'll go to stakeholders. Hi, Jonathan. Oops. Where are you? There you go.
Okay, thanks. I was going to ask you about the bylaws. Thank you, Erica. The second thing is just make sure every board member understands, because I don't, so it may be better spoken. A license for the Zoom is the equivalent of a link. Is that right? Since we're operating only on one license, so we have one link to all of our different meetings. Is that correct?
No, that's not correct.
What does it
So
mean then?
we have opted to use the same Zoom link for all of our meetings for simplicity, but it's basically one paid license that allows you to host a meeting, or in this case, a webinar that is longer than 40 minutes. If you were just using Zoom for free, you could have a meeting for 40 minutes. And you can create as many different Zoom links as you want to with this license, though only one can be running at a time. So we couldn't have meetings that overlap.
What's the benefit of having more than one license then?
So the benefit would be you could have meetings that overlap, or it could be assigned to different people in case one person is out of town and unable to access it. We have sort of gotten around that with just having multiple people know passwords, but yeah.
Okay, thank you.
Well, thanks, Erica. I don't see any other questions from the public or the board, so thanks so much, and I'm sure you'll be hanging out on the rest of the meeting to talk about other things too. So we'll hear back from you.
Yes, I'll be hanging out. Thank you.
Thanks, Erica. I'm going to go to Officer Delbar, so I know he has a lot of work to do tonight. Officer Delbar, how are you?
Hey, you guys, how's everyone doing?
Fine, thanks for coming on.
So I'm gonna jump right into it. We have some good and some bad. So we'll get the bad over with, or we'll get the good over with. Is that our violent crime is trending down. Our rapes are down 11%. Our robberies are down 11%. And our aggravated assaults are down nearly 11%. However, the bad is that our property crimes are kind of on the rise, especially one in particular. So our burglaries are up 16%. Our thefts are up about 6%. And our grand theft autos are up 68%. That's 68% year to date. Our burglary from motor vehicles are, however, down 10%. So our grand theft autos being up 68% is a pretty big deal. It definitely stood out to me. So I started doing a little bit of research, and I also looked at the map from April 1st to April 30th, and I'm seeing a lot of grand theft autos along Riverside Drive. So that is a little unnerving to me to see that.
What are the number? Like, is it 5 cars or 2 cars or 20 cars or?
So just by counting right now, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 along Riverside Drive corridor in that vicinity. Then there's a couple outliers, 2 or 3, but Riverside Drive is a huge focus for some reason.
And they must be leaving the keys in the car because there's no other way to really steal them.
A lot of it is, a huge portion is that. So I started also talking to our auto detectives, and they're saying that what they're seeing right now is Hyundais and Kias being stolen. Now could be leaving keys in the car for however short amount of time. So it's just very odd that that's really the only crime I'm seeing in Toluca Lake. Yeah, it's just very particular to see that. So it's a little unnerving. It's just some education for leaving keys in the car. The other thing I wanted to really remember or remind everyone is the etching, the catalytic converter etching, May 21st. And that's from 9 a.m. to 1 p.m. at 11452 Burbank Boulevard. And that's on Saturday, May 21st. They're going to etch catalytic converters to hopefully be able to locate them if they are ever stolen, because that is an ongoing issue going on in our area. Other than
Is that the police station on Burbank, the address you just gave?
No, so it's actually a parking lot, the Church of Scientology parking lot.
Thanks, appreciate it.
Right across the street from the Church of Scientology.
Gotcha, thanks.
Yeah. And then the phone number to call for them to schedule an appointment is 754-8443. And that's all I have to report for today.
Sorry, Officer Delbert, do you have to schedule an appointment or can you just show up?
No, you have to schedule an appointment.
Okay.
Is there a sticker they give you that you put on your side window that says that it's been etched, or because I think how would the thief know once they start cutting your muffler part that it's etched? Is there?
No, not that I'm aware of. There's no sticker that you would get. A lot of this is to be able to find it later if it should happen.
Okay, it's not
You would
deterrent,
look-
more about recovery.
Kind of like etching your tools that some people will do in case your tools are stolen. You can identify what your tools are or whose they are.
Okay. Thank you. Any questions for Officer Delbar? We're gonna have Mike here. Are you gonna stick around for our public safety time, or you think you can jump off?
It depends on how far along it is.
Okay. Yeah, I know what you mean. Hi, Tess.
Hi, Officer Delbar. Thank you very much for your responses to my communications. You got my little manifesto, I think yesterday, quick summary of the things in our neighborhood, but the ones that concern you, I wonder if there have been any updates on the the burglary at Sarah Street that happened, we think on Sunday or maybe within the prior 24 hours. Is there any movement on that?
No updates as of right now. I did do some investigating on my own on that one and spoke to the contact you provided for me.
Okay.
To get some more info, but there's no updates as of now.
Okay, very good. And I want to draw to your attention the abandoned house on 11228 Blick Street. We are hoping to get a trespass authority letter from Kevin Duffner. And the Riverside auto thefts. What section of Riverside would that be? Do you know?
No, it's just on the map. It's not that detailed.
Okay.
So it shows pretty much between Coinga and Clybourne.
Between Coinga and Clybourne. Okay, very good. Thank you.
One more thing, Tess. As for that trespass order, that's got to come from the owner of the property.
Yes, I know.
Okay.
The neighborhood prosecutor has reached out to him, so we're waiting for that.
Gotcha.
Okay, thank you so much.
Any questions for Officer Delbar? Any additional questions from the public? Okay, we'll move on. Thank you, Officer Delbar, and I hope you can stay around, but I understand if you can't for our public safety time later. We'll move on to Jason Maruka from Ms. Berger's office. Let me see, we'll bring you on. I lost you again. Yes, hi, Jason.
Hello, can everyone hear me?
Yes.
Perfect. All right, my computer decided to work today.
Great. I got you're going to tell us about the tribute to the veterans event.
Yeah, I'll go ahead and kick off that real quick, and then I'll get into my other one. So the supervisor, I know we're new to the area, but every year we hold a tribute to veterans and military families. It will be on Saturday, May 28th at Arcadia County Park from 10 a.m. to 1 p.m. Admission and parking is free, so it'll be a great time if you can get out there. The supervisor will be there. We'll have lots of events and festivities around. So hope to see you all there. I know I got Colby the flyer, so if anyone's interested, please come out. One update from the board, on Tuesday, May 3rd, the board voted to support Supervisor Barger's motion to implement the Blue Ribbon Commission on Homelessness's recommendations. So just a real quick, once again, the Blue Ribbon Commission on homelessness was started last July, and they did a 6-month review of how our homeless services work together. They engaged a real broad spectrum of stakeholders, service providers, cities, persons experiencing homelessness. So the supervisor, was really thankful for the commission and the collaborative approach that they took. Kind of out of this report, the supervisor sees this as a call to action. Specifically, we need clear lines of responsibility in our homeless services. I won't go through all the recommendations, but I'll kind of just summarize 3 broad points of the board motion. Number one, it's about bringing LASA back to its pre-Measure H role and transitioning direct service provisions away from it. So the agency can focus on federal funding opportunities. So again, before Measure H, LASA wasn't in the direct service provider role. So that's one of the recommendations. Next is creating a local solutions fund through Measure H, where cities can utilize some of that funding to implement their homeless and housing and service plans. And then finally, we would look to create a county department that will support flexible solutions for those experiencing homelessness. And specifically, this department would coordinate and unify all the various county departments that touch homelessness, such as the Department of Mental Health, Health Services, Public Health, Social Services. And again, this department, this proposed department would be accountable to the Board of Supervisors. So just in closing real quick, I know the supervisor feels strongly that we need one point of responsibility. Our current systems and structures do not have clear lines of responsibility and accountability. She feels these recommendations are a pathway to establish more of those. Happy to send over the final recommendations report if anyone wants to read it. But again, we're hopeful that we can provide some more accountability and transparency to our systems. So with that, that's my report. Thank you.
Thanks, Jason. Any questions for Jason? The board or possibly stakeholders? I don't see any hands raised. Oh, here's Tess.
Hi, Jason. That's terrific. And I got your Blue Ribbon Commission report today. Is it okay to forward it to people?
Yeah, that's a public report, so feel free to share it.
Okay, very good.
It kind of goes obviously a deeper dive, but
okay,
yeah.
And so these recommendations would reduce LASA's current authority and create a new department which would supplant that authority more or less, in addition to coordinating all of the other services currently in play. Is that right?
Yeah, I mean, again, it's about kind of having the right setup to responding to homeless services. We don't know exactly how the department's going to look. We're waiting for a 90-day report back on that. But again, one of the recommendations was to have LASA focus more on some of the administrative functions that they do, like applying for federal grants, running the homeless count. So again, more administrative than necessarily hands-on with service providers.
Okay, very good. Well, anything that that streamlines and makes it more efficient is got my vote and support. And I'd particularly like to see. Well, I won't get into that, but thank you for bringing this to us today.
No problem.
Thanks, Jason. And we're putting your flyer in the newsletter. Again, the event is the Tribute to Veterans and Military Families, Saturday, May 28th, at Arcadia County Park, 10 a.m. to 1 p.m. and it's free. Thanks, Jason.
Perfect.
I really appreciate it.
Thanks, Obi. Thanks all. Bye.
Next up, we have Tiffany from CD2. Let me find you. Hi, Tiffany.
Hi, everyone. How are you all doing today?
Doing great. Thank you.
I have a few little updates today. I don't know if Officer Delbar mentioned it. I'm kind of juggling between a few meetings today, but LAPD NoHo Division is having a catalytic converter etching event on May 21st from 9 a.m.
You mentioned it, yeah, but we can just quickly go over it again if you like.
Okay, I just wanted to confirm, did he mention that scheduling an appointment is preferable?
Yes.
Okay,
and can you give me the phone number one more time?
Sure, 818-754-8443.
Thank you.
No problem. Just to kind of move along then, since we've already discussed that, as you all know, the city budget was discussed this past few weeks in city council. I wanted to give a little bit of the budget highlights that were passed and discussed amongst the departments and the council members. There was $1.163 billion in homeless response in the budget, including over $600 million in new housing and shelter interventions. Permanent expansion of the Care and Care Plus operations that started in 2021 to 2022 fiscal year in order to help keep our streets safe and clean. Increases in the Bureau of Street Lighting budget to tackle copper wire theft. As you all know, copper wire theft is the reason why many of our streetlights are no longer active, and it takes about a 56 business day backlog to get repairs. So this will definitely help with creating more hardscaping and new infrastructure and fixing the copper wire. Also maximize police hiring with funding and academy class capacity for 780 new police officers. Grows in the fire department by hiring an additional 208 firefighters, a climate equity fund, youth job initiatives, amongst others. Happy to give anyone else specific breakdowns if anyone's interested at a later time. But these are some of the highlights that the council member worked on in our new budget cycle. So that's pretty much all on our end. I did also want to highlight NoHo Summer Nights is going to be coming back this summer. For those of you interested, I will be sending out a flyer once that's released with the dates and times of all of the activities and festivities. Thank you.
Thank you, Tiffany. What, real quick, I mean, you might not have the answer to this, but what will prevent those copper wires from being stolen again?
The hardscaping. So they're going to change the hardscaping of the way that the lighting poles are constructed, so it's not as easier to access to. And then they're planning on changing the wires to aluminum, which is cheaper, so there won't be a need to steal them anymore. So there's gonna be some changes coming to that, and it might take a while to get to all of the lights, but I think this is going to be a big difference that we'll see in our street lights for sure.
That makes sense. Any questions for Tiffany from the board or from stakeholders?
Thank you, Tiffany.
I don't see any hands right. Oh, Tess, yes, Tess.
No, just thank you. I sent you a pretty long email yesterday, and I'll look forward to hearing from you.
Thank you.
Thank
All
you.
right, well, good evening, Tiffany. Thanks for your report. I appreciate it.
No problem.
We'll move on to, I don't, his hand's not raised, but I'll call upon him. Brendan Pender, our budget advocate. Are you ready to talk, Brendan?
Yeah, can you hear me?
We hear you, Brandon.
Okay, yes, I am. Sorry. I had a little bit of a technical difficulty here getting hooked up. I'll be brief. I want to remind everybody that we have starting, well, as of June 18th, we're going to have the annual budget day, which is going to be June 18th. That's on a Saturday. Starts at 9:30 in the morning. It's going to be virtual. Hopefully next year it could be in person, but right now it's going to be virtual. And we're basically going to be having a lot of the breakout sessions and stuff. We're also going to be we're putting together a list of guest speakers right now. We have that date on our budget, which is budgetadvocates.org, and it's a save the date flyer. And soon we'll be having a registration link to hook up for that. It's you might want to go to Eventbrite and type in neighborhood council budget day and see if that might be up already. But right now, as far as our website is concerned, that hasn't come up yet. As far as registration is concerned, it should be up momentarily. I want to try to probably visit you one more time before budget day, which since you have your executive committee meeting about 4 days before that date, then I will do that instead of coming to the general board meeting, which will be after that at that time. Also, we finished our white paper. If you want to get a copy of that white paper, I'm going to send it out to the board again, because I know it was automatically sent out by the neighborhood council's neighborhood council budget advocates regular email blast, but I'll send it out to Colby, and Colby can send it out to the rest of the board. But you can get it at on our website, and it's if you go to the website and you scroll down, you'll see where it says "Trouble Ahead," a report to Garcetti and Los Angeles City Council on the city's fiscal future. This is an in-depth white paper. It pretty much goes over a lot of things that the previous speakers just got through saying. We go over basically what the mayor has proposed. We and also what the different departments had proposed to the mayor prior to him putting his budget out. And we talk about the fact that now that we're not getting as much money from the federal government as far as bailout things is concerned, we're not going to be able to meet some certain particular goals. We still have somewhat of a budget surplus in certain areas, but it's not as good as we would have predicted before. Hopefully, we're going to have a good recovery from this pandemic and from hopefully from the recession that we're going to be that's going to be coming up, and the inflation that obviously that's happening right now. It's affecting the entire country, not just city of Los Angeles. Also, you can also go onto our website too and see some of our town halls that we've had. We did have a town hall with the 7 candidates who were running for city controller. We also had a town hall on Dunn. There are going to be a lot of different motions regarding Dunn, regarding Dunn's ability to police another organization that's composed of elected officials. So that's going to be very interesting too. And you also can see our presentation to the Budget and Finance Committee that was headed up by Glenn Bailey. And we have that video is also on our website. So when you scroll down, there's a lot of things you can see on there. Our next neighborhood council budget advocate meeting is going to be on Saturday, May 21st, and that'll be an AM meeting at 9:30 AM, and you can participate with that. Go ahead and log in. Just go to our website and click onto the agenda, and it'll take you to the Zoom meeting link, and it'll be active prior to the half an hour prior to the meeting for that. And that's all I want to say right now. But I would really encourage everybody to read their white paper and maybe have some feedback on that. And you can also, if you need to contact me or ask me questions outside of my reports there, then you can go to brandonpender@yahoo.com, BRANDONPENDER@yahoo.com, and send me an email, and just put on the header budget advocates on there, or the Greater Toluca Lake Neighborhood Council. That way I know it's not a regular email thing. So at that point,
you're also looking for a new budget rep. Is that, you want to talk about just a moment about that?
Yeah. So we're looking for everybody that all the neighborhood councils appoint at least 2 budget reps. I know I'm your budget rep. I don't know if you have another person. I understand maybe Tess might be interested, or whomever else, because that's a participation during the budget day, but also about a week after we have the budget day, we're going to have the elections for the budget advocates. And so all the people that are eligible to vote for that would be the budget reps to do that. Now, budget advocates, it is a pretty hard commitment, because you have a lot of neighborhood councils that you have to look after other than your own. We have a big attrition rate. Like this year, I had to take on 6 neighborhood councils, and it was another budget advocate along with that who took on his regular 3. But I took on 6 because somebody dropped out. And that was really hard to do, because I could go to all the neighborhood councils, but sometimes they were at the same time or the same day, and so I had to pick and choose and maybe send a written report or stuff like that. But as a budget rep, you don't have that pressure, but you can still participate with the budget advocates you could be a part of writing reports, interviews, a lot of our events. The only thing you can't really do is vote on certain motions, but I mean, it's something that you can get used to. So maybe after you try it for a year or so like that, if you want to become a budget advocate and there's an opening, then you can easily fill that slot without having a culture shock.
So yeah, so we can either we'll probably take this offline, but if Tess is interested or someone else is interested, then reach out to you or me and
yes.
move that. Thank you.
Thank you very much, and I thank you, Colby, and I hope everybody's doing well.
Great.
I'll drop you a line, Brandon. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, bye-bye. And
let's see if I'm looking at more community representatives. I don't see any, but please raise your hand right now if you're from the community, our community list, and would like to speak. If not, we'll move forward. We still have a lot more to cover this evening. There'll be a lot more chances to speak. Okay, we'll move on to let's move on to the treasury report because we have an NPG, but I want to talk to Arthur before we vote on this NPG and get to Tammy. Arthur, are you ready?
I am ready.
Okay, great. Let me see, make sure you can screen share.
While you're getting that ready, I'll read the motion.
Okay, you should be ready to screen share. Yes.
Motion C, approve the April 2022 MER and expenditures for reconciliation submission to the city clerk. Do we have a first?
First.
Kevin. Yeah.
A second?
Brand.
Okay. So we had finished March with $21,688. We had $125 in operating expenses. $96 was Google and $28.99 was MailChimp. We had ended April with $28,563. And I have an updated schedule for us. Let me just make this a little bit smaller so it can fit the screen. This is column F is our proposed budget. Columns L to U, which is July to April, are filled in with actuals. And then we've put in placeholders for May and June. I have slotted in all the expenditures that we have approved during our last meeting: the Discovery Shop, Garden Club, PALS, YMCA. Toluca Lake Elementary is not the accelerated reader, it is a mural. TYS is in their full amount. And we have $500 for mailers and flyers that we had approved for outreach, as well as $50 for a website transfer for Toluca Lake vote.com. That brings us, with everything we have approved, to $36,135. We have $39,402 available, which gives us a net to approve of $3,267. So that's also pending, essentially, given the mailers that we approved. I don't know how far along we are in that process, so that could be taken or that could be available. So, but as it stands now, $3,267.
And that includes social media. That includes Lisa social media and
yes,
projected costs for the next month.
That's correct.
Okay. Any questions for Arthur? Hi, Tess.
Hi, Arthur. Thank you for this. We didn't get the detailed breakdown with our materials, but I appreciate seeing it here. Where is TYS on this spreadsheet?
Sure, it's under website hosting.
There it is. Okay. So Am I to assume what's the latest with TYS, either Colby or Arthur or Catherine? Are we sorted out with them?
This will sort them out. We are one entire year behind in payment.
Okay, so this payment to them will catch us up, and then we'll be on solid ground starting with the new fiscal year, paying $500 a month.
That's what I understand, yes.
Is that right, Arthur?
Yes.
Okay. Thank you.
Any other questions for Arthur? Jonathan Gregory, I see you. Any questions from the board before we go to the stakeholders? Please raise your hand. I can't quite see the entire screen, but
Jonathan has his hand raised.
you see, can you call on Jonathan? Maybe I can. Oh, I can do it.
Arthur, is the $500 you got under flyers, is that the sticker? Is that what it is? Because I thought the sticker was $700 or $750.
The motion for last meeting was to approve an amount up to $500.
Is that what it was? Okay.
That is correct.
That's the sticker then. Okay, thanks.
Any additional questions for Arthur? From the board or stakeholders? I don't see any hands raised, so we're going to move on to a vote.
Let's bring it to a vote.
All right, so for motion C, approve the April 2022 MER and expenditures for reconciliation submission to the city clerk.
Aye. First.
We already did that part, but thank you. I'm just getting out the list to vote. So Catherine votes yes. Arthur, how do you vote?
Yes.
Robin?
Yes.
Ren?
Yes.
Thank you. Fred?
Yes.
Matt?
Yes.
Lee?
Affirmative, copy.
Thank you. Susanna?
Yes.
Tess?
Yes.
Kevin?
Yes.
Sean?
Yes.
And Colby?
Yes.
All right, so that is
Well,
12-0-0, motion passes.
thank you, Arthur. Moving on to motion B, which is to approve up to $4,394.02 to fund 7 new picnic tables for Rio Vista Elementary School. Do I have a first to open up this up?
First, Tess.
Tess, a second, please.
Ren.
Hi, Ren. Okay, great. And if you, let me see, Catherine, can we screen share? So everyone in the last month received, or our last meeting, received the NCG application. It was not included in the packet this month. However, we can screen share it if you don't have it from last month's meeting. Also, we're going to bring on Tammy, who is the principal of Rio Vista, and she can tell us a little more, walk us through the application.
Hi, good evening, everyone.
Hi, Tammy. Thanks for coming.
Oh, thank you for having me. So Rio Vista, for those of you that may not be as familiar with where we're located at, we're located in between Lancashire and Vineland off of Whipple and on Satsuma. So we're a cute little neighborhood school, and we love being in the community. I have a lot of teachers who live in the Toluca Lake area, and a lot of families that live in the Toluca Lake area. So we love being with Toluca Lake. One of the things is through the years, especially with the pandemic, we need an update in some of our basics. And in this case, we need to get new tables for outside because they've kind of sustained some wear and tear over the years. Are there any questions?
what is the material that the worn out tables are made out of?
So the worn out tables have been there for quite some time. They are actually made from a kind of like a fiberglass material. And what has happened through the years is they've kind of bowed from the moisture and the cold of the elements. So they make different ones now that have like metal drainage. So when it does rain, they're able to seep through and it doesn't cause that bowing anymore.
And that fiberglass, when it's laminates, I used to have some fiberglass boats. It gets, I don't know if it's getting under the skin of the children, but it's very itchy and painful. It's a little actually
It is.
Is that happening, or is it just bowing right now?
What it is it's bowing, and we don't have a sufficient amount for all of our students. That's the other thing too. So we may be small, but we still need more to accommodate our students when it comes to eating and for other activities as well.
Okay, so you definitely need 4. Any questions from the board?
Yeah, I have one more question, Tammy. Thank you for being here. So, how will this grant be used primarily to support and serve a public purpose and benefit the public at large? Obviously, school is an important thing. It says here in your grant application that the community at large will feel a part of the school by having a place to sit and be part of the activities that take place there. But are the school grounds open to the public? I'm finding more and more that schools are gated off and fenced day and night because of safety precautions.
Well, what I will say is we do a lot of community outreach and have activities where we embrace the community and invite them to come in. Just this year, we had a Read Across America event where we invited people in from the neighborhood, as well as NBC4 News came. And we also had other individuals from Los Angeles Unified come in to our campus.
Provide housing. 50,000 people experiencing.
Sorry.
All right, no,
We also have other activities, the walkathon. We have other activities such as cultural events at our school where we invite the parents and the community to come on to campus.
Well, I don't doubt that you have members of the public, and that's great, but the campus is not open, correct? It's to the public generally?
Urge our city council to.
Generally, it is not, because just like the neighborhood has seen a rise in theft, we have also experienced similar things on our school campus in regards to the copper and everything.
Well, then that's not exactly a true statement. The community at large will feel part of the school by having a place to sit because the campus is not open. I just wanted to know if the campus was open or not, and I guess it's not, and I don't blame you for it. I'm just pointing that out. So thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Any other questions from the board? If
None
Yeah,
of it
I
ever
have a question.
manifested,
Does
but
LA City Schools?
hold on.
people, we put our money out for it and they still got our money.
Can you read
We
me?
didn't get what we
Try
were
to 2 people speaking, only 1 person at a time.
Yeah, so I'm
Go ahead.
That's Mr.
Okay.
Reese, who.
Does LA City
Probably
School
should go to
replace
law
the
school
benches?
because
I
he
thought.
always knows the back and front of everything.
Someone speaking in background.
Lee, is there someone else in the space with you? Can you?
Yeah, let me walk away. Hold on.
Thank you.
Sorry about that. Didn't realize you could hear that. Okay, do you read me now, Claire?
We do.
Yes, we hear you better.
Doesn't LA City Schools replace the benches and the tables automatically when they're worn out?
So we have a school general fund that we use to replace some of those things. It's just we have so many things to replace at the school. There's not sufficient funds to replace everything.
All right, thank you.
You're welcome.
I see Robin has her hand raised. Hi, Robin.
Hi. I have a question, Colby. We got the report from Arthur as to how much money we have left. How much is Rio Vista asking for? And how much do we have left to spend? And what's our deadline?
They're asking for $43.94 and 2 cents.
Mm-hmm.
Obviously, we can't do the entire amount. We have 32.67, I believe. So that was another question I have for Tammy. Could we cut back the amount of tables. But I just want to get through this first.
Well, and then the other thing is, today's meeting is basically, I'm assuming, the last meeting that we can vote on something that, before the June 1st deadline, before things have to be encumbered. So this is really the last moment that we have to spend any money, hopefully, that the city will approve. And you also have on next month's agenda that we have to pay for the Zoom calls now, or the Zoom account. So there are going to be some expenses we're going to have to probably save some money for. And I'm just wondering what is
$200.
Yeah, what is
a
a comfortable amount for us to offer if we were to actually vote on this tonight?
That was my next question. I was going to ask Tammy if we did 3 benches and try to prorate it down. And I want to ask Arthur, and also I want to talk to Erica while she's on the call tonight about encumbering funds and the amount we can sweep forward. I knew it was last year we could do $10,000. I'm not sure about this year. And those are questions I want to get to also, which are very important. I don't know yet, but I want to get through this nuts and bolts.
So
or Tammy,
we're definitely.
Yeah, because I know you
we're
need 4
definitely.
benches, you don't have enough benches now, but we can't fund all 4, even if we did everything
Correct.
right now. Possibly 3, but I'm not sure.
That would be very much appreciated. We would be very thankful to have the 3 additional benches. We would work with that most definitely.
Okay.
Can I ask, walking by Rio Vista, there are quite a few banners out front for various, mostly companies that have sponsored Rio Vista in some way. Would GTLNC be eligible for a banner as part of funding these through an NPG or not?
That is something we can discuss for sure.
Okay.
Catherine, do we have a banner? We obviously don't want to spend money on a banner, but just to do that. But do we have a banner ready to go?
No, I mean, if you walk by Rio Vista, they have a bunch of Rio Vista branded banners. They're all the blue and yellow colors. And it just highlights the various companies that have donated. So I was just thinking that would be a way to maybe get a little more awareness of GTLNC in the community as part of potentially funding this NPG.
Yeah, certainly. We need to raise awareness. We really do. Any questions? Yes,
Yes, that is something we can definitely do.
Yeah, actually, that's a question, and I think that's a really great idea, Catherine. That I'd be fine spending this money if we can get our name up there. That'd be awesome.
But then again, realize the banner costs money. You know, the banner could be $300 or $400. It could be 10% of what they're asking. I mean, if we have one ready to go, that's great. But you're right. Yeah, it would be nice to have that outreach.
Colby,
We have some connections that we can work with you guys in regards to that.
Okay.
Colby, I just costed one out today, 3x6 for $75. Pretty cheap. Tammy, if your source can do better, I'd love to hear from you.
That sounds like a pretty good deal.
Yeah, I think so.
I'm going to move on to
all right.
Stakeholders. Hi, Jonathan.
Ms. Fernandez, she's still here, is that right?
Yes.
Yes,
Okay.
I'm here.
Ms. Fernandez, I'm deeply appreciative of everything that goes on in the schools in LA Unified School District. I'm not a board member. I want you to know that what I'm saying is not coming from the board. I'm a stakeholder and a taxpayer. What I'd like you to know is how I feel, okay? Only me. And the reason I'd like to share this with you is not because I like announcing my opinions or my feelings, but rather I'd hope that you think about this in the future. I've looked back at the past grant applications, NPG applications from Rio Vista, has a lot to do with furniture outside. When I hear from a school, what I really want to hear from you is that you want to talk about in the public forum about money coming from the neighborhood council making kids smarter, making them better outfitted for the future, or like Tess said, that whatever you're doing is a direct community benefit as mandated by the city of Los Angeles for these grants. When I looked up the stats of LA Unified School District, as you probably know, the graduation rate has risen, but it's a miserable 80% right now. But it falls to 60% for English learners. I'm generalizing, it's around 61%. What I'd like to hear from you when you come to this neighborhood council is you want money to fix what's wrong. I understand you want furniture and all that, but we talked about it in the meeting last month. You weren't here, but there's a lot of money in LA Unified School District right now. It's considered awash with money by the LA Times. And that you're not accessing the money is a problem, but it's one for the school district to resolve in order to buy furniture. When you come here, it's real public talk, and we're hearing about furniture, benches costing $4,000. It comes out to $628 a bench, and that's over $100 a seat. It's a lot of money, and we're living in a community with people living out in the streets. It's not meshing for me. And I want you to hear that aspect of it. Not that I don't support everything you do, and I do, but I want to see the money handled in this discretionary way, aimed at a bullseye. I want to hear that you're part of a consortium of other principals who take care of kids who literally have unmanageable hardships, and it's a slush fund of a sort, or that it's a reading program to help these English learners who aren't making it to graduation. That's what I'm really looking for as a taxpayer. I really don't like hearing this stuff about furniture outside. Thank you very much.
I appreciate that. That's good information, and I really appreciate the feedback. And maybe I didn't explain myself clearly when I spoke in regards to how the benches will be utilized for instruction and supporting our students. For those of you that are not aware, we are a school for advanced studies and what they call an AMP model school, which is an academic English mastery program. Just this year, we've had 17 newcomers. And when I say 17 newcomers, these are not just students from one particular geographic area. We get students from all over the place, from Eastern Europe, from Central America, South America, from Japan even. So we have a wide collection of students that come to our school. Now, with that said, part of our curriculum is to be culturally and linguistically responsive, and that we do by having our different activities outside. Now, I do understand what you're saying, because in the public, there is money being given to the schools. I get that. But what I will say is here at Rio Vista, we are not a Title I school. Those funds are directed primarily to the schools that are Title I, and we aren't a Title I school.
Thanks, Tammy. I'm going to go to Rodolfo in the stakeholders forum. Bring you up. Rodolfo, I lost you, sorry. Where are you? There's so many people here. Okay, Rodolfo.
Hello, can everyone hear me now?
Yes.
Okay, I just wanted to thank Tammy, and I just wanted to explain and kind of clarify my understanding. My understanding is that some of the students who attend this school, Rio Vista, are members of the community of Toluca Lake. And I would assume that if that's the case, if the students are, then their parents are as well. So my whole kind of comprehensive understanding is that this is in fact directly benefiting members of the community in as much as it's benefiting the students and their parents, if no one else. I also wanted to kind of clarify that what I'm hearing from Tammy is that there are funds allocated for education and for the very crucial tasks that schools are tasked with, but that there are maybe not funds allocated for other things, including these benches. And that is why we have to have someone from a school coming to a neighborhood council seeking funds for things that are not necessarily budgeted in the funds that are given to schools. And I just wanted to make sure that that was a correct understanding. Thank you.
Senator Rodolfo. Tammy, do you have a quick response? Very quick.
No, I think his input was pretty good.
Okay, great. I'm going to go to Fred Berry at the board. Hi, Fred.
Hey, Tammy, thank you so much. I'll keep this very quick. I think that's terrific what you've done. If it were up to me, I'd give you the rest of our money for even more benches, and I hope you ask for some more things in the future. And I'm not biased, even though I did attend Rio Vista when I was a little boy, and I think you guys deserve everything you ask for. Keep on going. Thanks again, Tammy.
Thank you so much for your support.
Thank you, Fred. I don't see any other hands raised, and we have to move along because we have a lot more to do. So can we can't obviously fund or even attempt to fund your whole asking here. We could do a vote for $2,500.
So Colby, I would recommend that I guess I am making a motion to amend the motion rather than to approve up to $4,394.02 for 4 picnic tables. If we do
2 picnic tables?
If we do 3 picnic tables for $3,295.52.
Well, we have only $32.67 available, I believe. Arthur, what is that number again? We're
$32.67.
Yeah, $32.67. So,
well, I don't believe that we're going to spend the full 500 or potentially any of the 500 for outreach at this moment.
Okay, so we have 32. We could do, and then we need $200 for the potentially for the Zoom, I believe.
If I may, I want to thank Robin for pointing out our carry forward and our expenses. That's really good. I don't see any reason why we should have to spend all of it because I think part of it will carry over. I would make a motion that we fund 3 or 4 of the tables, or we give them a round number of $2,500 as you suggested, Colby.
So to be clear, Tess, there's a typo in this motion. It is actually already for funding 4, and I was proposing to fund 3 at $32.95.
So it says 7, but it's supposed to be
break down that way.
Sorry, Colby. Okay, so pardon me, Catherine. The typo is 7 and it's actually supposed to be 4. Is that correct?
Yeah, so I'll put up the NPG. Hopefully y'all can see a shared screen right now.
What the NPG does say 7 new picnic tables.
It does, but if you actually scroll to the quote, the quantity is 4 and the unit per plus tax. So that's where it's actually 4 picnic tables at $1,000 each plus tax.
So we could, 3 does fit nicely. Barely.
I would go for 2. I mean, I want to support the school, but I think, I think $2,000 is good, and it will, this is flexible. They can get 2 more tables and come back.
Let's do. There's always it costs a little bit more probably to do less per table. Let's do 2,000. I say 2,500.
I would support that.
Catherine, how do you feel about that? Or anyone else on the board?
If we're going to change this funding amount, we're going to need to do a roll call vote on that amendment.
The amount makes sense to you? I know we need a procedure, but the amount.
Yeah, I mean, I accept that, I guess.
Kevin, I see your hand raised.
Is there a particular reason why we don't just want to do the 3? I don't understand what the issue is here. It's picnic tables for a school in our neighborhood.
Because at least it's only like $260 in the account for the rest of the year. It just
we're trying not to overspend, Kevin.
That's all. And we could carry this money forward. We could probably carry a little bit of money forward. That's what I'm saying, in case we have a little bit of wiggle room, in case, I don't know. But Kevin, you're saying we should spend down to the last penny? and not carry any money forward.
It just seems like we're spending an awful lot of time talking about picnic tables for a school in our neighborhood, but if the numbers don't make sense, then okay, I understand.
I mean, I'm just saying, if we did 3 picnic tables, it might turn out literally down to the last $10 or so.
Let's go with 2. Let's be fiscally responsible. We can
I say 2.
Tammy can come back for more tables. If there's a dire shortage of picnic tables, we can entertain another NPG next year.
Okay, Catherine, let's go ahead. Okay, I see Matt Kamen has his hand raised.
Sorry. One last thing. Are you okay if we throw in like $100 for a banner?
So if we say 2,500 for 2 picnic tables and a GTLNC banner.
I'm in.
So $2,500 total, or 25 plus 100.
Well, banners are available for $75. So
I think if we do 2,500, that'll get both picnic tables and the banner.
Okay, let's amend this to meet that.
Okay, so voting on an amendment to motion B to change it to approve up to $2,500 to fund 2 new picnic tables for Rio Vista Elementary School and a banner for GTLNC at Rio Vista Elementary School.
Okay, do we have first?
First, Tess.
Okay. Second, please.
Susanna.
Susanna?
Yep.
Okay.
Okay, so right now we're voting on the amendment to the motion, not on the motion itself. So on amending it to the 2,500 for 2 picnic tables and a banner, how do we vote? I vote yes to the amendment. Arthur,
Yes.
Robin,
Yes.
Ren,
Yes.
Fred,
Yes.
Matt,
Yes.
Lee.
Hi, Lee. You there?
That's affirmative on my vote.
Thank you.
Thank you. Susanna,
Yes.
Tess,
Yes.
Kevin,
Yes.
Sean,
Yes.
and Colby.
Yes.
Great. So that amendment to the motion carries 12-0-0, which brings us to voting on the motion itself. So motion B now reads to approve up to $2,500 to fund 2 new picnic tables for Rio Vista Elementary School and a GTLNC banner at Rio Vista Elementary School. How do we vote? I vote, this is Catherine, I vote yes. Arthur,
Arthur?
Yes. Yes.
Great.
thank you, Arthur. Robin,
Yes.
Ren,
Yes.
Fred,
Yes.
Matt,
Yes.
Lee,
Lee?
Roger, affirmative on the vote.
Great.
thank you. Susanna,
Yes.
Tess,
Yes.
Kevin,
Yes.
Sean,
Yes.
and Colby.
Yes.
Motion carries 12-0-0. NPG
Congratulations,
officially
Tammy.
funded. Thank you so much, Tammy.
Thank you for your time this evening. I really appreciate it.
And thanks for all the work you do. And I really appreciate that. Very good. Okay. Moving right along, we have planning and land use with Ren and Fred.
Yeah, thank you. Let me get there.
Colby, weren't we going to get to the other 2 items under
So
executive?
I just, I'm sorry, I got so excited. Yes, okay, let's go back. Installation of executive board date. Yes, we are, as we discussed earlier, we are looking for candidates to
Okay.
fill our 2 empty spots on our board. And June 1st is the deadline for that. We have 3 candidates so far. Please reach out to people you think who might be interested, and they can click on the button on our GTLNC.org website and fill out that application. And we get an email notification from that. Let's see. Oh, yes. I'm so sorry. Discussion of letter of no confidence of DA Gascon from the GTLNC.
Before we get into that, you just sort of slid by installation of executive board date, which is going to be at our annual meeting next, which is in July.
That's right. Yes, and that is going to be as you know, we vote on the executive board. Kath, are we going to have an assistant secretary this time or not? We went back and forth on this.
So we won't have an assistant secretary, but there is going to be a position called alternate secretary. It's a non-voting member, or it's a non-voting position on the executive committee. It's just someone who will step in the event that the secretary is not available. For instance, if the secretary needs to recuse themselves from a meeting or isn't able to attend a meeting, they would step in to take meetings, do roll call, things like that. Sorry, take minutes.
Sure. So if you're interested, so we're going to vote again on the exec board, as you know, and if you're interested in running for president, vice president, secretary, treasurer, it's the time to throw your name in the hat, and it'll be an fun meeting, interesting meeting. Any comments on that?
It'll be what,
Any thoughts?
July 19th, Colby?
It's our next, yes, that's our next
Okay.
general board meeting.
It's our July general board meeting,
check it.
not
Actually, no,
June.
let me check again. It's on. Looking for it. Well, it's on the website. It's our next.
It will be on July 19th, which is our regularly scheduled July board meeting.
And are we dark in June? I think we are, right?
No.
No, we're not dark in June. We're dark in August.
We believe so, yes.
Okay.
I suggest we go dark in August, but we can decide that in the future.
Okay.
But I suggest we do. We need a month off. We didn't have that last year. Well, last year was a mess.
It's getting better all the time, Colby.
I'm sorry, what?
It's getting better all the time.
It is getting better. Actually, it is getting better. And I think everyone's working really well together. I'm very proud of this board and very happy with everybody. So that, Catherine, anyone else have any comments on the exec board election date? Any more thoughts? We talked about the 2 board positions, and now we'll go into the discussion of letter of no confidence for DA Gascon from the GTLNC. A stakeholder, had this idea at a previous meeting. I reached out to Erica and to get her guidance on if the GTLNC voted upon a letter to express their displeasure with our district attorney. Erica, she can jump on right now and say more than I'm going to say, but Erica indicated to me that it was not advisable that this board do that. That was again from an attorney at from the city. I'm not saying I say that should be the way it is. I'm just saying that's the information I received. Eric, would you like to step in and have something to say about this?
Thank you, Kobe. Yes, I did reach out to our to the attorney assigned to the Greater Toluca Lake Neighborhood Council, and if you don't know already, that is Elise Rudin, and she advised that it is not possible for the NC to issue a CIS due to the fact that it is not, well, at least to my knowledge, it is not an item on the city council agenda. And it would not be appropriate to issue a request for action due to the fact that there's a pending recall to the LA County Attorney Gascon. So at this point, if the NC decided to weigh in, then it would then look like you are taking a position on the recall, which is not something that the NCs are allowed to do. So at this point, neither a CIS nor a request for action is appropriate.
not appropriate, but I mean, for instance, it's, we've, in the past, we have voted upon and written a letter saying that we don't support the TOC project in Riverside Drive and things like that. I don't know. My opinion is we have the free speech. I mean, if the community says to us, we're the voice of our local community, that they don't support, I'm not saying they do or don't, but I'm saying if they don't support or like something in the city or someone in the city, it seems like we should have that
But I
voice.
think the distinction is the potential to influence an election rather than to request certain policies or to oppose a project. This is potentially influencing an election, which is not something we as an NC are allowed to do.
But Ms. Rudin said we couldn't submit a CIS, but is that the same as?
Well, we can't submit a CIS because there's nothing on the city council
No, I'm saying we could do a CIS, or we could do I'm not suggesting a CIS, but as a letter, just a general letter, like that's described here, the same as a CIS, or does it have to be?
No, those are two distinct things. The CIS in relation to a council file, so a city action on the city council agenda, a letter of action, a request for action, a letter of no confidence, that sort of thing is distinct from a CIS, but that's still something that they are saying we shouldn't do because it would appear that the NC is taking a position on the recall effort. So that would be us appearing to try to influence an election.
Any other thoughts on this from the board? If not, I'll go to the stakeholders. Stakeholders are lighting up. So I saw Rudy first.
Well,
Tess has her hand up.
I didn't see your hand up.
Yeah, sorry. So I have actually a couple of thoughts on this. Erica, are you still with us? I think she is, right? Okay, Erica, maybe. Erica, so I'm very glad that you're here. I'm grateful. And I know that you've been given a very difficult assignment. And I don't want to make this more difficult by disagreeing with you or with Elise Rudin. However, I don't think that the members of this neighborhood council should stand by in silence while their rights and their sovereignty as and of this neighborhood council is eroded or dismissed. I do not believe this is permissible. I know that you are not a lawyer and you're not prepared to argue the law here any more than anyone else is. I don't know that we have any lawyers present, but I would respectfully ask that you listen, consider these comments before we move this forward. So this is a really important topic. We have to maintain our sovereignty as a neighborhood council. I don't think we're here to be rolled over and have our rights disrespected, the rights of the stakeholders or of Greater Toluca Lake. Dunn's political considerations are not our problem. We do not have a limitation on opinions or resolutions, and this neighborhood council is capable of asserting whatever opinion it likes. If a CIS is not possible because the city council technically doesn't have something on its agenda, that's fine. A request for action, word it however you like. I think a letter of confidence or no confidence is certainly something that this neighborhood council is capable and perfectly able to assert. So this is an interference, in my opinion, with the democratic process of elected officials. And this is not, I don't go out of my way to bring a conflict, but this is a conflict being brought to us. We have a right for self-determination, and there's nothing that is that prevents us from doing this in our bylaws. There's nothing that is binding in any of the Department of Neighborhood Empowerment rules which would cause us to waive our constitutional rights to redress our grievances. This is the First Amendment. And the First Amendment of the U.S. Constitution is going to overrule any policy that the Department of Neighborhood Empowerment comes up with. And frankly, also the California Constitution. This is an interference with our sovereignty. If stakeholders have an opinion on something, they are welcome to come forward and state it. If we as a neighborhood council feel in our discretion that we would like to take a position or have an opinion on the effectiveness of a policy, we should be able to do so without any interference whatsoever. We are an elected body, and it is not up to city staff to give us orders that are contrary to the United States Constitution, to the California Constitution, and this is not prohibited under any rule that is approved by the city council. And even if it were, the city council would have to yield to the California Constitution. So we are in every way able to do this, should the board choose to. So that's my statement, and I would appreciate it if you would consider these comments. Erica, I don't want to put you in a difficult position, but this is a very important item, and we should have the ability to make an opinion. Thank you.
Thanks, Tess. I'm gonna go to Robin.
I just
Robin.
want to say that I believe in free speech. I think free speech is extremely important, especially in the light that we are living today. But when I was elected to this board, I take this role very seriously. I am here to speak on behalf of the community, not my own opinion. And we would have to do a great deal of research and polls and surveys and go out into the community to really read how the community actually feels about this. And I don't think we should make any sort of decisions based on a conversation tonight, because it's going to take an extreme amount of work to get the voice of the community. So, yes, an open discussion is great. And if people want to join in on the meetings and weigh in, that's great. But even the people that join in on the meetings and have very strong opinions do not speak for the community. They may speak for a handful of people or just themselves. But I think we have to be very careful about blanketing a decision based on what we think as a board. We have to be very careful about who we're speaking about and for. That's it.
Colby, I can't raise my hand because I'm co-host, but could I make a quick statement about this?
Of course.
So while I understand and appreciate that we all have freedom of speech, we have that as individuals, but we are considered representatives of the city because we were elected and we had to take a bunch of training on this. We, in our neighborhood council positions, are not supposed to be political. And that doesn't mean we can't take positions on policies. We can absolutely make requests on certain policies to the city council. What it means is that we cannot take positions in relation to elections. And so, given that there is a recall effort, given that this is an election year, taking a position about an individual, in this case, Diego Gascon, would be being political. And so I strongly urge the board not to take that step, but I would encourage us to consider if there are specific policies that we have concerns about, to choose to make a statement related to those policies and not related to the individual.
Okay, thank you. We'll go to the.
Catherine, can you point out that policy? I'd like the authority on that, not to be, quote, political. Can you give us the citation, the specific citation, please?
I do not have the specific citation on hand, but Tess, we all went through this training and it was made very clear to us.
Yes, well, give me the specific citation. I'd like to be updated on that.
So tonight's just, as I put on the agenda, it's about discussion, and you're right, Tess, this is what we want to know. And we need to do more research offline. We're not going to vote on this tonight, of course. I just wanted to open this up for discussion. I think it's going to be a very thorny issue. But yes, that's. I think let's look at what we're bound to. In this between now and the next meeting. Any other board members or comments? If not, we're going to go to stakeholders. We've been waiting very patiently.
I would, let me just throw one more thing in to address the quote political aspect of this. We're not telling people how to vote. We are expressing an opinion of competence, of qualifications, of effectiveness.
That is telling people how you believe that they should feel about it.
We have a right to do that. And
we as individuals do. We as a neighborhood council do not.
Give me the citation, Catherine. Thank you.
Look it up, Tess.
No, no, Catherine, you give me the citation.
Go back to our training.
I'm going to mute you both of you for now. We're going to go to stakeholders. We've been waiting very patiently.
Thank you, Colby. Good evening, everyone. Hi. Rudy Melendez, South San Fernando Valley stakeholder, supporter of the recall D George Gascon effort. I'm going to be very clear about that. This neighborhood council was elected to represent community stakeholders. To suggest that you're not political is ridiculous. Everything you do is political. That's why you're on this neighborhood council. And I would encourage this board to come together, take a strong position, put it to a vote. That's what democracy is all about. Put it to a vote and have all of your board members vote on whether or not you want to support no confidence in recall. Excuse me. If you put it to a vote in support of no confidence of District Attorney George Gascon. That's all we're asking the stakeholders. You have the ability to do it. Step up, be a leader, take a position. You'll have, for those that don't want to do this, you can vote no. And for those that do want to do this, you can vote yes, or however you like. That's what democracy is. That's how it works. Don't restrict or throttle community stakeholders who want to see this neighborhood council put this up to a vote. Thank you very much.
Thanks, Rudy. Moving on, next I saw was Jeff. Hi, Jeff.
Can you hear me now?
You do.
Okay. I listened to the representative from the city attorney's office say that it's not appropriate to bring such a motion because of a pending recall, but there is no pending recall. There's a signature gathering right now. There's nothing on the ballot. There is no election. So I can't see how a vote of no confidence, which is basically a yay or nay on the competency of a public official on how that person's job is doing, is even related to a recall election, because there is no recall election at this point. It's simply a vote of no confidence in the competency of the DA. Also, I'm actually a lawyer, and the representative from the city attorney's office has not given any legal authority to back up her contention that a neighborhood council cannot opine on a vote of no confidence. I want to see case law. I want to see a statutory authority saying that there's a prohibition against that. And she hasn't provided anything, to my knowledge, to the neighborhood council. And getting back to the merits of the case, I mean, Gascon, his office has set out numerous special directives, and he's prohibited charges against quality of life crimes like drinking in public, resisting arrest, driving without a valid driver's license. He's not done three strikes enhancements, which has been actually adjudicated in the LA Superior Court, and a preliminary injunction was issued by an LA Superior Court judge against Gascon for basically violating state law on that issue. Over 31 cities have passed a vote of no confidence. So are you saying that these 31 different city councils and school boards and whatnot are somehow in violation of the law or a statute or case law for passing a vote of no confidence as to the competency of a job that a public official is doing? So I really think that the neighborhood council is duty bound to reflect the will of the stakeholders and to actually look into this legally and determine whether or not there is a legal basis for prohibiting the neighborhood council from rendering a letter of support or a letter of non-support in the ability of DA Gascon. Thank you.
Thanks, Jeff. Next up, I see Jonathan Gregory.
Thanks. First, I would like to address what Robin said. I think all board members should go to the Dunn website and take a look at the simple sentence stating your mandate. It makes it really clear that the board's your mandate is to communicate to City Council that which is in the best interests of the stakeholders. So with that said, you need to ask yourself, what's in the best interest of the stakeholders? That it should even come into a political conversation is absurd to me. That creates room for gymnastics, like words like appropriate and things like that. That's crazy. It isn't about politics at all. Actually, it is about policy that concerns stakeholders. How does it affect their lives? Well, let's look at a couple of them. For example, under Gascon's policies, let's call them policies because that's what we do in Los Angeles. We call them policies, Gascon's policies. Juveniles are not easily prosecuted as adults. What does that mean to a stakeholder? Well, it means that gangs throughout Los Angeles have specifically sought out underage people to commit murders. And this has wreaked havoc on communities, especially Latino communities, of which El Monte is one of them, down in the east part of LA, making El Monte one of the first of the 31 cities or interests that have sent in resolutions stating no confidence in these policies. Another is the eradication of bail. What does that mean to stakeholders? Well, this whole monkey business about trying to keep a catalytic converter in your car is a direct, in my opinion, consequence of no bail. What happens? It means if I go to someone's house at 2 o'clock in the morning with my portable saw and I saw off the catalytic converter and get caught by the police, I'm taken into the police, but I'm back out on the street by 5:30 in the morning, but the police officer is sitting there still doing the report. And what am I going to do? I'm going to go right back to work doing catalytic converter removals because they sell for $600 to $800 a piece, which is usually $4,000 plus a day. That's why people are after catalytic converters, because they don't have to do any jail time. Another thing you have to think about is felonies are not being treated, they're being treated as misdemeanors now. So what does that mean to stakeholders in greater Toluca Lake? What that means is since people who violate the law are no longer being held at the level of a felony, if that's what it used to be, it means that there's no interaction point with law enforcement to encourage rehabilitation, like an address for drug addiction or something weird going out on the streets like
Jonathan,
defecating.
we're past 3 minutes.
This is why I'm saying it's not political, and I do think the board has to send out a message because the crime is outrageous in our community. Thank you.
Rodolfo.
Hello. I just want to make a few comments. One, I want to address two different subjects. One is the propriety of the neighborhood council opining on this subject. And I would like to perhaps remind everyone, I am an attorney and I've actually represented public entities in the past, and I may represent public entities in the future. I would like to remind everyone that as an attorney myself, and as members of a public entity or representatives of a public entity, you sometimes have to, or you are actually ethically required to forego some of your rights, whether those be your First Amendment rights or other rights. And that's just the way it goes. You have to prevent conflicts of interest and you have to maintain ethical duties. So just because we have a right does not mean that it is, without limitations. The classic example is you're not allowed to shout fire in a crowded theater. That's a limitation on your First Amendment right of speech. So just because someone may feel compelled to say something doesn't mean that they actually have the right to do it legally. And that does not make it proper either, which I will address Jeff's comment that there may not be statutory law, there may not be binding precedent, but we all know, or at least I do from working with public entities, that there are sometimes things that are matters of policy that are just as important as binding precedent. The other thing that I'm going to kind of address here is just the actual subject matter of this whole thing, which is an alleged increase in crime under Gascon. Now, that may be true. The crime has increased statistically. That's impossible to argue with. But I would point out that, for instance, catalytic converter thefts actually jumped in 2019 from 3,300 to 14,000 in 2020. Now, mind you, Gascon was not the DA in 2020. So you had an 11,000, an increase of 11,000 incidents of catalytic converter thefts in 2020 when Gascon had nothing to do with the process. I think one of the other things that people should kind of be aware of is that one of Gascon's concerns was jail overcrowding, which in 2019, LASD reported that our jails were 41% overcrowded. That means there were almost, there was a significant number of people that were not able to actually fit into jails. And if you'll all recall, one of the consequences of jail overcrowding is that people are released without any consideration of what they should be sentenced for. So, jail overcrowding is decreased under Gascon. I'm not sure that that's a good thing or a bad thing, but I do want to point out that just because we may perceive something to be true, that does not necessarily confer cause and effect or accurate cause and effect. That's, I think, all I need to say on this subject. Thank you.
Colby, are you there?
So I think I had a bad internet connection. I disappeared for a second.
Okay, but you're back. Great.
I'm back now. Yeah, I'm just totally.
So
my computer
Rodolfo
was-
just finished up. Next
Okay,
hand
and
I
then
see
we
is
had Brandon,
Nancy.
and then we have Nancy, and then we have to move on after Nancy.
Okay.
Go ahead, Catherine. Can you take over right now? I think my
Yeah.
unstable internet.
Brandon, you should be able to unmute.
I thought I unmuted him.
Yes, well, I don't want to spend a lot of time to be redundant. A lot of the comments that were made by the previous speakers was some of the things I was going to say. But I have a considerable amount of experience in law enforcement, especially federal law enforcement. I was a federal prosecutor for a short amount of time, and I just want to tell you that the job of a prosecutor, whether it be a local city prosecutor or county prosecutor such as Gascon, or a federal prosecutor or assistant U.S. attorney, is basically to seek justice. You're supposed to prosecute criminals. You don't do the job of the defending attorney, and that's what seems to be was going on with Mr. Gascon. And also, as far as the neighborhood councils is concerned, you can voice your opinions on quality of life and public safety issues, and these things come right under that. You're not being political. There is an effort to recall him, yes, but at the same time, there are far more reaching issues and more serious issues of a quality of life in your community, in your neighborhood in particular, and also as far as public safety is concerned. Being soft on criminals and allow criminals more of an opportunity to
Brandon, I think we lost you.
get away with their crimes. In Boulder,
we
I don't
lost
want
you.
name on the stage. You said we're going to get away with everything.
All right, there you are. You're back. You're back.
Hello, I'm back.
Yes.
Yeah. So there are people that actually, there are criminals are actually lionize Gascon because they realize that he's their best friend. He's basically doing a job that maybe he should, resign and become a public defender, because he's not really going after the people who commit these crimes, and because it's not his job to do it. He is supposed to basically protect and prosecute criminals to keep the neighborhoods under his jurisdiction safe, and he's not doing that. And you do have a right as a neighborhood council to have a voice on that. And it's not political for that at all, period. Nobody's, I haven't heard anything that anyone said on this board so far as being a political statement. Basically, it's that you're concerned about what's going on in your community and your surrounding community that will affect you one way or the other. So, that's just the way it is. And I'll yield.
Thank you, Brandon. And we have time for one more comment, and then we're moving on because we'll be here till 2 a.m. Nancy, do you have anything to add that hasn't been said before?
Hello, good evening. Can you hear me?
We hear you.
Yes, I just wanted to say that as a stakeholder in the local community, I fully support the Neighborhoods Council effort to do a letter of no confidence. I think the young lady had kind of misspoken when she said that there was a recall. There is no recall, there is a recall effort. And then when she said it's an election year, his term is a 4-year term. So he's not up for re-election this year. So I don't understand the statements that she made when he's not up for reelection. This is a public safety issue. The crime in the city is out of control and people are not getting prosecuted. And we do need to stop the bleeding. And again, our voice matters too. So I fully support the neighborhood council's effort in doing this. Thank you.
Thanks, Nancy. And I see Erica. I'm just gonna wrap up with her and then we're moving on.
Yeah, thank you, Kobe. And I did take note of everything that was mentioned. Again, unfortunately, this was not a decision that I made on my own. I did reach out to the city attorney's office. And so with that, I would just like to remind the board that any actions going outside the recommendation of the city attorney and the department should be understood that since each board member has then taken on the responsibility, any ramifications that may happen would then solely lie on the NC itself, taken that they did not follow, or it did not follow the direction of our department nor the city attorney's office. So again, I understand there's some limitations and I'm hearing what is being said, but unfortunately, this is the guidance that I've been given. Thank you.
Thank you, Erica. And Tess, unless you have something earth-shattering that hasn't been said before, we really have
It's
to move
not
on. We're not
earth-shattering,
happy.
but I would like to invite Rodolfo Aguado to reach out to me on my GTLNC email, tess.taylor. I would like to talk to you, Rodolfo. I agree with some of what you say, and I disagree with the rest. And I'd like to keep this discussion going maybe at the next board meeting. Thank you.
And you're welcome to approach me offline also if you want to give me a call or
Okay.
email me at colby.jensen@gtlnc.org to discuss more offline. We're moving on to planning and land use. Fred and Ren.
Okay, I'll kick it off and then Fred will jump in, and I think Tess, I hope, will pick up towards the end. The city planning department community plan status. I talked to a couple of the planners that are working on it. They are planning to do a general plan presentation in June. I didn't get a date, but it'll go out as soon as I get it. And then they agreed to come to our GTLNC planning meeting in July, or perhaps have a special meeting, and I'll have to talk to the members of the committee to see. I think we need a special meeting where we just have the community plan up for discussion. It goes on till 2029, so it's something that'll be with us for a long time. We need to look at it very carefully and research it. 6.2, Foreman Avenue, the parking. The city clerk is now stonewalling the council office as well as as our committee. So I have nothing to say except we're all very frustrated that we can't get a $7,500 contract out of the city clerk over a 1.5 year period. So I guess part of that's on me, but a lot of it is on the city. I've heard from people that I'm sorry.
Sorry, that's very frustrating. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you, but that's just very frustrating. What else can we do to raise the stakes here in this one?
Well, I've been trying to find out what who we need to talk to or how we need to move this forward. One of the things we're going to need at this point, I believe, is to have the council office push a motion through council to allow us to roll forward the money, because we have $7,500 that is not in this year's budget. It came out of last year's budget, and we got an approval to carry it over through this year to use it for this particular project. And now we're running out of time. So I'm going to push with your okay, I'm going to push the council office to carry that funding forward another year so we can actually use it whenever the city clerk gets around to getting our contract approved.
Very concerned about this. Okay, move on. I'm sorry.
Yeah. Update on the 10057, 10063 Riverside Drive, the Gelson's Market and so forth. Fred, you want to bring us up to speed on that?
Hi, Ren. Well,
there he is.
Pretty much same thing, not too much that was new from last time. But what I would like to say is if anyone out there has any ideas of suggestions they would like to put on our future agendas, please, Ren or I, and you can find our addresses online, but we would like to hear from you. I don't have much to say, and this meeting's going long, so I'm going to throw it back to you. But I'm really happy with how our meetings are going and look forward to many more. Thank you.
Okay, next up, state legislative agenda and all of that. And Tess has stepped up to put together a laundry list of state legislation that we're going to be tracking. It's still early in the process at the state level, but pretty quickly, some of these bills will start to come out of one side of the legislature and go to the other, from the Assembly to the Senate or Senate to the Assembly. And when they start doing that, then we know they're a threat or an opportunity. And so we'll start to really get into them. Tess, you want to update some of that?
Sure. And this stuff moves pretty quickly. So for those who have an interest in various topics or bills, if you can let us know, then we'll try to look into them and bring them forward for discussion. A really quick summary on 3 bills that have come to our attention. AB 1910, publicly owned golf courses being converted into affordable housing. AB 2053, the Social Housing Act and creation of California Housing Authority. And AB 2097, we're keeping our eyes on, related to land use and parking requirements. From my research, there has been a pushback on these unless amended. You can get further detail on the bills and the discussion from our planning and land use meeting of a couple of weeks ago, audio, but I'd be happy to talk more about it to anybody who's interested. There was a discussion this past planning and land use meeting of the Regional Housing Needs Assessment, otherwise known as RHNA, and its effect on Los Angeles and Greater Toluca Lake. We reviewed the California State Auditor's report on RHNA, where I pointed out to stakeholders the significance of that, of having so much housing crammed into Los Angeles. And this ties into what Ren was talking about earlier with respect to the community, the plan we're waiting for, because the RHNA allocations are going to hit us, and they're probably going to hit us quite hard. So we want to know where we stand. But there is an audit of the RHNA numbers, which basically dictate how many new housing units need to be created or built within a certain time frame. And that's being distributed across the entire state of California. There's a great deal of concern among some people, among many people, that it's too much. And the audit of the California State Auditor's report shows that there has been a miscalculation, and he's recommending that it be reviewed and carefully recalculated before we proceed. I'm again happy to give more information to anybody about that. If you'd like to reach out to me, tess.taylor@gtlnc.org. So I will leave it at that. Oh, and last but not least, for those who come to our planning and land use meetings, I created a spreadsheet with all of the city planning case files and file numbers that we use at these meetings to help people who attend keep track of what we're talking about, because sometimes these projects drop off our agenda and then they come back, and so on and so forth. And this resource will have hyperlinks so you can get straight to the LA City planning case files. That's it for me.
help him grow.
Question, does our vote really matter? I mean, it seems like the politicians really don't give a damn. We tell them what we want and they do what they want and get rich and we get screwed. It's very frustrating.
Sometimes it feels that way, Lee, but we can't lie down. We gotta stand up.
Yeah. And we have to pick our battles. You know,
That's
it's,
true too.
you know, there's a lot.
Brandon, Fred, are you ready to move on to public
There's a
comment?
hand up
Wait,
from the
question?
public.
Yeah.
Colby, there's a hand up
You ready?
from the public.
Here we go. Jonathan?
Thank
Hi,
you.
Jonathan.
In the Planning and Land Use Committee meeting this past month, there was a discussion that involved the two topics of the clock and a $10,000 NPG to, it was called Streetscape, in April, May of 2019. So the way it was, the outcome of that talk was that either Rain or Fred were going to move that into the general meeting because they felt very strongly it was approved there and there were questions regarding it. It was spoken that Mr. Altoon from Beautification Partners would be invited. My question here is that planned for the future or did you forget? Thank you.
He was invited and he wasn't able to make it, but we'll get back on that. I think the both the clock and the community plan overlay for both Lancashire and the village are, you know, they're moving slowly. So I don't know that there's a lot nothing new to talk about. And we'll get it back to you on, you know, where it stands pretty quickly. But I'm sorry, Ryan wasn't able to come in tonight because, you know, usually he makes a presentation at the beginning. He would have covered that.
Thank you.
I think what was part of that planning and land use discussion, Ren, was, you know, these monies that were granted and the part of the NPG, the grant application is that if the money is not used, you know, promptly, then it's to be returned. And so I don't know what the status of the projects is, and we'd love to hear that, you know, since it was quite a lot, $5,000 in 2020, $10,000 in 2019. So we'll look forward to hearing about that. Thank you.
Okay.
Well, thank you, Ren and Fred. Is there anything else?
No, that's it.
Okay.
Stay
All right,
tuned.
we got it. We're not even halfway through. We're about halfway through. We got to move on. Going to move on to public safety. And Rob and I are co-chairs of that. National Night Out is August 2nd. Looks like it's an in-person National Night Out, which is very, very nice. Rob, you want to talk about good neighbor law real quick?
Yeah. Well, Tess very graciously gave us a link for what to do, like maybe if there's too much noise in your neighborhood. It's a whole laundry list of things. It's a wonderful list. We've provided the link. Please look at it and see if you can use any of those items to help in any way. So thank you, Tess, for putting that together. And that's really it. Thank you.
You're welcome. I mean, it's the good neighbor laws that are from the LA City Attorney. So it describes what, you know, common problems, what to do about them and who to call. Very useful.
Move on to catalytic converters. As we heard about Great Length, there's a problem with that. If you have one you want etched on your car, call 818-754-8443 to make an appointment. As you know, it's appointment only. And safety vests, we're not going to do that this fiscal year. I think it's about $1,500 and the money's pretty much spent. So we're not going to do that this fiscal year. Robin, any other comments from you, Robin, or your thoughts?
No, that's it. Just great
So
job.
I just got to ask for public comment real quick on public safety.
Colby, may I
Yes.
point out National
Brandon.
Night Out, August 2nd, and working with other communities. I think there might be someone here to comment on that, on working.
Okay, and
together.
also I want to add that we are still waiting for the light bulb to be fixed. I think we're on day like 39 until we get that light bulb fixed at Sarah, at the Sarah underpass. It's almost like as a light bulb turns, it just keeps going on and on. Brandon, I saw you have a quick comment. We have a lot more going on. Hi, Brandon. Brandon, I'm pushing you loud to talk. It's not working though. There we go. Strange. Brandon?
Yeah, can you hear me now?
I hear you. Yeah, yep.
Yeah, I wanted to make a comment about the National Night Out. I don't know if you know this or not, but I helped out on the I guess it must have been maybe the last 3 National Night Outs that Greater Toluca Lake had. I brought in some sponsors, and I had those sponsors over from when I was the chair of public safety in Studio City. I don't know if you know this, but I had the 2 biggest National Night Outs ever in the entire city, with a total of one was I think about 4,000 people that the LAPD did their helicopter flyover. We had it in the parking lot of forget the name of the bowling alley that's there on Ventura Boulevard. And then the following year, we had probably maybe 500 less people. But when I joined the public safety committee with Toluca Lake, I brought those sponsors over to Toluca Lake. So if you want to do that and have an in-person one, I'd like to help out and bring those sponsors. We used to auction off some bicycles for the kids. They got some. I brought in a lot of swag from a lot of the sponsors to do that. So
yeah. So
I'd be glad to do it again.
Do it again. Just email me, or we spoke earlier. Just call me, and
Okay.
we'll fold that into what Rob and I are doing. And I think it's a great idea. Make it, because it's our first one in a couple of years in person. So thank you so much for offering.
That's a long time. Yeah. Okay. Thank you.
Thank you. And I have another one, another public comment from Sherry. Hi, Sherry.
Hi there. I said earlier, I'm the co-chair of the North Hollywood CPAB, and this is in regards to National Night Out. We're doing it at Whitsett Park, and we've extended an invitation to all the neighborhood councils in the North Hollywood divisions area to participate at one big location. So that's basically what we're doing. Obviously, through CPAB, we're going to be able to have a lot of LAPD specialized units out there. We have the connections. And I plan on having a meeting for any of the neighborhood councils that actually want to participate. We've already got 2 that said that they want to do it. And I understand that you guys are thinking about possibly joining us. And we thought it would be great. When we had our winter festival there at Whitsett Park for Christmas time, we had over 3,000 people come to Whitsett Park and gave away toys and everything. The councilman is putting in more money this year for National Night Out, as well as for our Winter Festival. Also, the city has recognized the Winter Festival as a city event. So we hope that you guys will consider in joining forces. It might be easier, have everybody in one location. You do what you would normally do for your own National Night Out, and just instead of having it in Toluca Lake, everybody meets at Whitsett Park. So if, like I said, I'll get into more detail when we do have a meeting.
Yeah, that'd be great. Yeah, and go on our next public safety meeting and call and email me, colby.jenscn@gtlnc.org, and we'll have you connect with Brandon and Rob, and then we'll make this a nice event. We haven't had one in so long. Thanks, Sherry.
Okay, thank you.
All right, we're moving right along to outreach and elections. That is
yes.
Catherine.
So I want to do a quick shout out to Paige Cram, who was our previous chair of outreach. She had to step away from GTLNC, but we really appreciate that she took on this committee for as long as she did. And Matt and I are taking on the co-chair position for now. At our last meeting, we did a review of the promotional sticker that Paige had begun drafting. We've decided we're going to do a little bit of reworking on it before we actually proceed with printing. So it's possible that won't happen this fiscal year, but we will be having a further discussion in June at our June meeting. So we would welcome anyone that's interested in joining the committee, stakeholders or board members, to come to our meeting on June 8th at 6:30. And now that we are hopefully getting into a good position with TYS getting paid up, we'll be working with them to implement some further changes on the GTLNC website. The other thing that is going to be coming up for us, as Erica mentioned earlier in this meeting, is the GTLNC and all NCs are going to be having an election next year, or well, most NCs are going to be having an election next year. And so we're going to start planning for that, including identifying a polling location for hybrid mail and in-person voting. And yeah, that's the update from outreach. Any questions from the board or from stakeholders? Go ahead, Tess.
Catherine, yeah, the homeless resources we discussed at the last meeting and I sent to you and Matt, no comment on it, or it's not on the
Not
agenda?
as of yet. We have not had a chance to review.
Okay, so, and Matt, you got it as well, I trust?
Yep, I have it. I have also not had a chance to look at it yet.
Very good.
Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you for sending it.
I don't see other hands raised, Catherine, so thank you so much.
We'll move on to my other committee, environmental.
Yes, go right in.
We would also love people to join the environmental committee. Not that I don't like spending 20 minutes with Susanna every other month, but if more people want to get involved, we'd love it. The end of this week, Friday, is Bike to Work Day. So I would encourage anyone that's actually working outside their home, if you are able to bike to work, take advantage. We have some pretty good weather right now, as opposed to all the other times when we also have good weather. We are also hoping to find someone that can be our Neighborhood Council Sustainability Alliance rep. The NCSA rep does not need to be a board member. It can be a stakeholder. It's just someone that will be able to participate in NCSA events. They usually have monthly meetings of the overall NCSA, and then there are also committees that you'd be welcome to join if you wanted to, and then report back to the Environmental Affairs Committee on what's going on there. Any questions or comments related to the Environmental Affairs Committee? All right, our next meeting will be at 6 p.m. on Tuesday, June 14th.
Thank you, Catherine. Move on to Government Affairs Committee with Tess Taylor.
All right, so thank you. The meeting was conducted with myself and Catherine as co-chairs, and she stepped down at the end of the meeting because of the 2 openings that we have on the board, and because we can only handle up to 78 committees each. So she withdrew as co-chair, and however, I would like Catherine to present the standing rules, because that was her initiative before she retired from the co-chairmanship, and then I will update folks on legislative tracking, basically bills that affect our, there's some overlap here between planning and land use and government affairs. But do you want to take the standing rules first, Catherine?
So yeah, motion D, approve the standing rule annual meeting agenda for adoption by GTLNC. Do I have a first?
First.
Is that Tess?
Me, Tess, yes.
Thank you. And do I have a second to open discussion?
Sean.
Thank you, Sean. I'm going to, for as long as my share screen will allow me, share the, this should actually read annual meeting procedure. So basically, in the past, there has been some confusion about what the process is at the annual meeting, which would be held each year to select the executive committee. And because of the way we've changed our bylaws, it'll also be where we select the standing committee chairs. There are also a few other things like second signer, bank card holder, community impact submitters that we select at this meeting as well. Sorry, community impact statement, CIS submitters. And so we just wanted to create this procedure that can be posted publicly on our website as a standing rule so that if people are uncertain of how this meeting will work, we can direct people there so they can see exactly what the process is. Any questions or comments on the proposed draft? Ren, go ahead.
Yeah, I may have misread this, but it looks like the stakeholders can participate by nominating people for candidates. Sure, how can they? Would they be nominating people who are on the GTLNC or?
Yes, so
Or how-
candidates may be nominated from among the council members. So only council members are eligible to hold these positions.
Right, but the community members can nominate council members for the president?
Yes. That is what this proposal is, yeah.
I have to think about that a minute.
Is that different from how it was before, Catherine?
So we've never really clearly stated it before, but in the past, we have permitted stakeholders to nominate people. We have also, I think, in some years, only done board nominations. However, I don't know if that's because no stakeholders requested to nominate.
What do you think, Ren?
I don't think it hurts. It'll make a longer meeting if people jump up and feel like they need to nominate their best friend or something. But it's probably gives a little more participation from the community. And there may be somewhere in the future where somebody needs to be convinced by the community that they need to take a job. So I'm with it.
Okay, I have a question. I don't know if Erica is still on, but a proposed change that was made at our governmental meeting last month was for there to be both a candidate statement at the beginning, then board comment, public comment, and then allow for a candidate to have a minute of closing remarks. Is there any reason why that's not allowed? Or is there anything we need to be aware of? For instance, if we say that the candidate has 2 minutes to speak at the beginning and 1 minute at the end, does that mean that every person speaking on their candidacy would be required to have no fewer than 3 minutes? I have no idea if Eric is actually still here now that
I'll check.
ask all those questions.
I'm sure
Here.
she is. She usually hangs out.
Hi, Erica.
She is here.
Did you hear my question about whether or not we can have the candidate speak again after the board and the public have commented on their candidacy?
I heard the end of that, but I'm not aware of why that wouldn't be appropriate. My understanding is as long as all of the candidates are given the same opportunity, it should be fine, but that's certainly something I can look into for you.
Okay, great, thank you. All right.
There are some hands raised.
There are
You
some
want to take
hands
that?
raised. Based on their names, I do not believe these are real people. If you read
Oh,
their
I-
names, Colby?
Yes, I think we'll skip those two names there.
Yes.
Yeah. If they don't look sincere.
All
Okay.
right. Then are we ready to proceed to a vote? Oh, Kevin, go ahead. Oh, we lost Kevin. Kevin, did you have your hand up?
Yes. Thank you. So just so I'm understanding this correctly, so this is for new positions on the board, is that correct?
No, this is for the annual meeting where we are going to be selecting the officers, AKA the executive committee, the committee chairs, and a few other positions like who gets to sign, who has our bank card, things like that. So this is not the process for like vacancy on the board.
And so this would be, so in other
This
words,
happens
so
once a year in
I understand
July.
that. Right. So this is for the stakeholders to be able to nominate members of the existing board to these different positions.
Yes.
And this could be a really stupid question, but why is that part of it necessary?
I don't know that it's necessary. I think it's a great way to allow stakeholders to have a voice, but if we feel that there's a reason not to.
I mean, shouldn't the president do this?
No, that's never been the way that it works, Kevin. And there's also no president at the start of the annual meeting.
Yeah, the way it's been working is the board has voted and nominated from the existing 14, 15 members or so these offices. I guess the big change, Catherine, if you want to highlight the big change, is that now you're saying that the stakeholders themselves.
That's not a change, really. We're just codifying the rule because there was nothing written about how exactly it worked. We're just clarifying the process so that anyone can reference it in the future.
Wait, can we unpack that? It's not a change really, but we're codifying how it's done.
Yeah.
This is totally confusing. I'm sorry.
So Kevin, I think you're thinking of a vacancy. So like, let's say
I'm not thinking of a vacancy. No, I'm not thinking of a vacancy.
Okay. Well, you were present at our last meeting, at our last.
Catherine, you're being very
meeting.
condescending, and I'm just asking simple questions. So please don't do that. I'm just asking
I am not
you to
trying
clarify
to be
this.
condescending.
Well, your
I'm
tone is
asking-
very condescending. So please.
I am asking if you remember at our last annual meeting, the process and the fact that, people were nominated for the various positions by other people. They accepted the nomination.
Yes, I remember that. And now this is changing that.
No, this is
or
just
codifying it.
Right. It's just codifying it. It's putting it in writing so that someone can look it up and understand how that annual meeting is going to work before the annual meeting.
Well, I think Ren brought up a good point. I mean, what's stopping people from just nominating their best friend and the meeting goes on for longer than it needs to?
I mean, that is a valid concern. But I think that's, if people feel strongly that we want to remove stakeholder nominations, then I think someone should make a motion to amend this to remove stakeholder nominations.
Okay, we have a lot of hands raised. Let me go to Erica. Erica, you have something to add?
That was from the previous question that Catherine had.
I'm sorry, I didn't hear you.
She has no further comment, is what she said. It was related to something I previously said.
Okay, I'm breaking up. Okay. Let's see.
Rudy.
Hi, Rudy.
Hi, Colby. Thank you. I just wanted to remind this board I was present when the newly elected board was seated a month late. So let's not mess around with any elections. Follow your bylaws closely. Let's not gang up and figure out a way to get all of our friends on the neighborhood council like what we saw happen when the newly elected board was seated and before the executive board was seated. So I remember, I think you guys remember, let's not repeat that again. It was a difficult meeting to listen to and watch as a stakeholder. This neighborhood council is better than that. And let's not go down that path again. Thank you.
Thanks, Rudy. Catherine, you have your hand raised, and was that you?
That's not me. I'm guessing that's someone who is either also named Catherine H or is impersonating.
Ren has his hand up.
I mean, Catherine H is not an uncommon
All right, I'll
name.
try it.
You can see.
Catherine H, you are unmuted. No response. Okay, Ren.
Thank you. Are we voting on the committee membership, or are we going to talk about that separately?
That's a separate motion.
Okay.
I think we should bring this.
We go to a vote.
Well, I'd like to make a motion to keep it the way that it was before.
This is not a change from the way that it was before. This is literally just writing it out. We're not actually making a change.
You can always just vote no on the vote.
Okay. Shall we proceed to a vote then? Yeah. On motion D, approve the standing rule annual meeting procedure for adoption by the GTLNC. Catherine votes yes. Arthur?
Yes.
Robin?
Abstain.
Ren?
Yes.
Fred?
Yes.
Matt?
Abstain.
Lee? Do we still have Lee? I think we lost Lee. I'm going to mark Lee has left the meeting as of 9:31. Okay. Tess, sorry, Susanna?
Abstain.
Tess?
Yes.
Kevin?
Abstain.
Sean?
Yes.
All right, by a vote of.
I'll abstain.
Oh, sorry, Colby.
I'll
I
abstain.
apologize. Thank you, Colby. By a vote of 605, motion carries. Standing rule annual meeting procedure is passed.
Okay. Moving on to motion E.
Okay, I apologize. Let me scroll down. All right, motion E, approve the standing rule committee membership for adoption by the GTLNC. Do I have a first to open discussion?
First, Tess.
Thank you, Tess. Do I have a second to open discussion?
Ren.
Thank you, Ren. All right, let me see if I can get the share screen back. Thank you all for your patience. Okay, standing rule committee membership hopefully is on the screen.
It is.
All right. Sorry, I realize there's a line crossed out on there. We'll clean that up in the future, but it's basically just a process for how to join. You show up to a meeting, you say you want to join, and the next meeting, the committee chair will have you added as a member. There's a limitation on the number of council members, neighborhood council members that can be on it. It has to be fewer than quorum of quorum. Quorum of our quorum would be 5, so no more than 4. GTLNC board members are allowed to be on a single committee. And then there's also a process for removal. And we tried to set it up so that if folks are, how do I put this? If folks are not attending meetings and you can't meet quorum as a committee because they're not attending, that won't prevent a chair from removing a person. But there's also the opportunity for someone to come in and make their case on why they want to stay on a committee.
Okay.
All
It
right,
prevents people
any,
from just joining committees and never showing up.
yes, we had that issue. Ren, go ahead.
I know this isn't a problem now, but do we want to limit the total number of people on a committee? I could see a time in the future where there might be a hot issue in the community and suddenly we have 40 or 50 people who want to all be on the, the planning committee or the public safety committee or something. Is there some way we can, or should we limit that number of, sort of the maximum number of people?
That is a problem I would love to have. So is this an if we build it, they will come? If we limit it to a certain number, we'll reach that number? Or I don't know if it's necessary. We can always go back and amend our standing rules if we determine there's an issue with one of them. For instance, if we change our mind about something in that annual meeting one, we can make a change to it.
Okay. Let's see if we have. I don't see.
Tess has her hand up. I don't believe we currently have any hands up from the public that are real.
No, I don't see any. I Tess.
Hi there. No, I just noticed, because I've had it minimized, that one of our callers with his or her hand up is named Get Off the Freaking Meeting Tess Taylor. And since that's addressed to me personally,
I'm aware of that. Yeah, there's
okay.
two. Yeah.
No, well, I
we
just
haven't
want
called
to,
upon that.
I just want to say that, I'd love to know who that person is if he or she would like to speak and what his or her objection to me being on this meeting is since I'm elected. And if that person has, objects to something I say, I'd be happy to hear it. That's all I'm saying.
I'm sure they could get a hold of you and email you privately.
Okay, and I would welcome that. I would like to know that person's objections to my being on this meeting. Thank you.
I have to keep order and I want to keep order. Okay, any other comments before we go to vote? I don't see any, Catherine.
All right. Proceed to a vote on motion E, approve the standing rule committee membership for adoption by the GTLNC. How does everyone vote? Catherine is a yes. Arthur?
Yes.
Robin?
Yes.
Ren?
Yes.
Fred?
Yes.
Matt?
Yes.
We've lost Lee. Susanna?
Yes.
Tess?
Yes.
Kevin?
Yes.
Sean?
Yes.
And Colby?
Yes.
All right, with a vote of 11-0-0, motion carries. Standing rule committee membership is passed, and I will hand it back to Tess for our legislation tracking.
All right. So thank you, Catherine. I won't detail these bills exquisitely because it's been discussed at our government affairs meeting earlier this month. I invite people to check that out to get more detail. Basically, I'm keeping my eye on planning and land use legislation. There's also discussion of Brown Act updates that would change the way meetings are run, which is, I think, very important to keep an eye on. So I will just, I'll take any questions that anybody may have, or people are welcome to email me, tess.taylor@gtlnc.org. Since this was gone over in great detail at the Government Affairs Committee meeting, unless there are questions, I will keep it at that. But anybody who wants to bring a bill forward or an item or a particular legislative concern, we'll make sure that we take a look at that and put those on tracking, either the Planning and Land Use or the Government Affairs Committee, whichever makes the most sense. That's all. Thanks.
Thank you, Tess. Any Any sincere comments from the public or the board? All right, we'll move on to new business. Anyone have any new business from the board?
I would like to mention a couple bills that I want to add for tracking. AB 1944, a bill that will change the Brown Act. I'll add that to government affairs. AB 1773, a bill that will overhaul the Bagley-Keene Act. These are bills that should be of concern to anyone interested in open government and a functioning democracy. And that's it for the legislative tracking from me.
Thank you, Jess. And with that being said, I don't see any other hands from sincere stakeholders. So we're going to close this meeting at 9:40 p.m. Our next meeting, Tuesday, June 21st, 2022 at 7 p.m. Again via Zoom. And that concludes our meeting. Thank you all for hanging in there. Good night, everybody.
Thank you, Colby.